I think the Braves are going to be a lot better than people think this year. They're saying that the Braves are projected at 86.5. I think they're going to be better than that. I could see the Braves winning 90 games this year. Acuna is going to be healthy this year. If Acuna is going to be healthy for at least 140 games, they have the pitching staff, and they've got Strider. This is a good pitching staff. They have got a lot of good young players. We're going to see a bunch of players being called up in the next couple of months. I really think the Braves are going to be a really, really good team this year. I think they're much better than obviously experts are thinking. So if you're a betting man at 86.5, bet them over 86.5. The Phillies, 89.5. I think the Phillies are the best team in this division. Now, that doesn't mean the Mets aren't going to make the playoffs. I think the National League East has 3 teams that are going to make the playoffs. I think this is the best division in all of the National League. Philadelphia, they're good. They're loaded. Kyle Schwarber is going to have another good season. Hopefully he does better than, the WBC. And I think Bryce Harper is still a competent player. He can get you 30 home runs and 90 RBIs. I think they have a great pitching staff. They have a very good bullpen. For a team over the years that have not had good bullpens, this is a good bullpen. And I think that you look at the Philadelphia Phillies with some of the additions that they made in the offseason. I think bringing back JT Realmuto, I think that's an absolute plus. He's a big part of the pitching staff and behind the plate. You need a leader, a captain behind the plate to help this pitching staff go. I like what Philadelphia has done in the offseason, bringing back all their guys. They did lose Ranger Suarez and Nick Castellanos.
They were trying to trade him anyway.
Yeah, they didn't want him. He's an outfielder who is expensive. They needed to move him. I think that was a good move just to get rid of him. I really, really, really like Philadelphia this year. The Mets, Freddy Peralta is going to give them an ace. And Nolan McLean, that takes a lot of pressure off of Nolan McLean. Nolan McLean doesn't have to be that dominant. And he's up for Rookie of the Year this year. So Nolan McLean could still win the National League Rookie of the Year and could be up for a Cy Young. Playing behind Freddy Peralta, you're not going to play against the best pitchers. You're going to play against the secondary, maybe the third best pitcher on a team's roster. So that gives the Mets an advantage. I don't like the Bo Bichette move. I question his injury. He's an injury-prone player. Playing third base, third basemen don't stay healthy, especially guys out of position. He was a shortstop his whole career. Now you're moving. I think I would have moved Bo Bichette out in the outfield. And what are they going to do with Jorge Polanco? Because what I'm reading is Beatty's going to win the first base job.
And Carson Bench is apparently making the opening day roster, too, in the outfield.
So where is Jorge Polanco going? You paid him. You gave him a 2-year extension. You're paying him pretty good money. Where does he fit? Is he an automatic DH?
Probably.
That's what you're paying? An automatic DH? He's not a great power hit. He had a lot of home runs last year. I think he hit 20-something. Losing a guy like Pete Alonso, that's huge. Losing a power hitter of that magnitude. You're talking about a guy that averages between 35 and 40 home runs a season and giving you almost 100 RBIs. You lose that, and you're expecting Bo Bichette and Jorge Polanco to give you those kind of numbers. That's what and they also added Devin Williams. And Devin Williams, there's a lot of questions to him as a pitcher, as a relief pitcher. Is he going to be your closer this year? You're paying him like a closer, but he's not Edwin Diaz. Edwin Diaz is one of the elite closers in all of baseball. He goes to the Dodgers. You're missing those pieces in your bullpen. And you're going to depend on Tong. Maybe they call Tong up and move him as a long relief pitcher because he's probably not going to start the season on this pitching staff. And losing Brandon Nimmo, that's a significant loss. A leader in the outfield, a guy that hits as your first batter, your number one guy. He gets on base at a clip. He does hit for somewhat power, and he's a good defensive player. He's not a great defensive player, but he's better than anything they have out there. So they think the Mets are going to win 90.5 games. I think the Mets win 89 games this year. I don't think they break 90 games. I think Philadelphia wins over 90 games. Mets, 89. And I project the Braves somewhere around 80, 88, 89. I think the Mets and the Braves will have the same record. I think all 3 teams are making the playoffs this year. And don't be surprised if the Braves pull away in this division. The Braves are as good as any of these teams if they stay healthy. I don't know if I'm going to bet on Acuna and Strider, but if these 2 guys stay healthy, Strider is one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yeah, don't bother on that. IL came out earlier today. Yeah. Strider already down with an oblique. They don't know how. They didn't say the severity, but it's at least a probably the first month of the season.
If it's not a grade one, it'll be 1 month. I think that a healthy Ronald Acuna in that lineup is going to give you a guy that's going to give you between 30 and 40 home runs. I don't know if he steals as many bases. Yeah. I wouldn't put him at risk, and I wouldn't put him out in the outfield every single day, because you have to protect him. You have to keep him healthy. He always gets hurt. He tears his ACL. He's torn his ACL twice out in the outfield. That's what I don't understand. David Stearns, he's the one who picked Mendoza, and this guy is still not on the hot seat. He has made all these mistakes. He's made trades. He's traded away talent, young talent. He brought in relief pitchers at the trade deadline last year that are now playing for other teams and other organizations. You lost prospects. I think this trade for Peralta is great if they can re-sign him. Are they going to re-sign him?
Yeah.
That's the question. Does he want to be a Met? And could you imagine losing Sprout and one of their better hitters in their farm system? I mean, think about it. These are bad moves. And you look at the Mets right now, they overpaid for Bichette for third base. He's making more money than Aaron Judge is making right now. Think about that. You're paying a guy that's never played third base in his career, and he's making more money than the best player in baseball. You traded him for Brandon Nimmo, who is 30 years old. You took a guy, yes, he's a Gold Glove winner. He's 36, 37 years old. How many years does he have left? And you're going to bet on this? What happens? Let's say the Mets make the playoffs this year or chokes. Does Stearns keep his job
they choke again,
during the strike?
Oh, God, no.
Really? Because Cohen's has a love fest for him, just like somebody named James Dolan has for Chris Drury.
I would hope he's not that irrational.
There's some kind of love fest for this guy, David Stearns. Oh, he's like a son to me. Yeah, he's also ruining your organization.
Yeah.
You overpaid for Juan Soto, and Juan Soto was the only one hitting at the tail end of the season. Lindor fell off. Everybody fell off. And this team was one of the best National League teams coming into the second half, and then completely fell flat on their face, like they always do. All right, let's go to the American League East. And a lot of people have the Yankees winning the East and probably the best team in the American League. I think the Yankees have a roster that can win. Now, win a championship, I don't know. We have to see if they can hit, and we also have to see if Brian Cashman's going to make moves at the trade deadline to juice up this lineup, which he probably will. I don't think Jazz Chisholm is going to be a part of this organization at the trade deadline. I think they're going to move him, especially if he starts the season hot, and I expect him to. Bellinger is a big piece to this roster. He is a big piece. Now, my question is, eventually this year, do they move Bellinger full-time to first base? That's what I want to know. Because if Spencer Jones comes up here, which I believe he will, at some point this year, he's proven himself on this roster during spring training that he is quite capable of being a hitter in baseball. Dominguez might fall out with this team as far as this lineup is concerned. Dominguez is a piece that the Yankees can move at the trade deadline. And do you trade Jazz Chisholm, or Chisholm, whatever you want to call him, and do you trade a guy like Dominguez, who's a switch hitter, or they call him the Martian? Do you trade him for another big bat in this lineup, which quite possibly could happen? And here's another thing. They gave Grissom a 2-year extension. That is also a questionable move. Right? It was a 2-year extension?
Yeah. No, he took the qualifying offer.
Oh, he took the qualifying
so 1
offer.
year, $22 million.
$22 million. I think they overpaid for Grissom because, to me, if Spencer Jones comes up and the way their outfield is set up, and if Bellinger, because Goldschmidt is still, they signed Goldschmidt. So Goldschmidt, as long as he stays healthy, he could be the first baseman all season long. What are they going to do with Grissom? Because unless Aaron Judge is going to be a DH here and there, but they have Carlos Grant, they have Giancarlo Stanton, who is a guy that's going to get an opportunity to get his whips at it. And Giancarlo Stanton has a lot to prove this year because a lot of people think he's done. He can't stay healthy. There's a lot of questions with the Yankees, but here's the reason why I don't think there's any question to the Yankees. This pitching staff is elite. When this pitching staff is at full strength by June, at the end of June, with Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Schmidt, Schlittler, Rodon, and Heel, when they have these guys, and even Adam Warren, this rotation is the best rotation you can argue in baseball. And that's how good this rotation is going to be. Schlittler could be the number 2 before Cole comes back because he could be the number one. He's pitching so well. And they have this kid, Rodriguez, though a lot of people believe the Yankees are going to call up at some time this year, either in the bullpen or part of this rotation. It's just another arm they're going to add to that rotation that they got from the Red Sox in a trade. That's why I think the Yankees. Now, Weathers was a great move by Brian Cashman because what they're going to do with Weathers is they're going to stick him in the bullpen. He could become their eighth inning guy or their long relief, or he could even be their closer. So there's a lot to like about the Yankees and what they did, even though it wasn't like a slam dunk. It wasn't like rose petals and marriage for the Yankees or what they did in the offseason. And Yankee fans were not excited about what they did. The Yankees did more than enough by adding Bellinger and giving him that extension and not over exaggerating with the deal that he was looking to get. Him and his stupid Mr. Boras, his stupid agent who likes to, rip people off. But as far as the American League East, it's pretty simple. The Orioles are not winning 85 games.
No.
There is no way this team is winning 85 games.
It's a crazy number. I can't believe the number was 85. I would believe 75 before I would believe 85.
Q, if you're a betting man and you want to make some money, I'd bet this. There's no way this team is winning 85 games.
Orioles? No, I would bet for the Orioles. Yeah, that's a good bet.
They're not winning 85. They're not winning 80 games. This is going to be one.
Red Sox? No, that's another story.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know if you're a Red Sox fan, but I'll tell you about their roster. What I like about their roster, Duran is a good player. Roman Anthony is a great player. They've got pieces. They added Ranger Suarez. Their rotation, is pretty good, man. They added some, bats to this lineup, and they added some pitching to this lineup. This is going to be a good team this year. 87 games. I think they win 88 games this year. I think they win 88, 89 games this year. I think they're a lot better. I would go over that number. The Blue Jays, I think they win no more than 88 games. No more than 88 games. I don't care what they've added in the offseason. They added some bats to this lineup, and they've added a pitcher who, Dylan Cease. I don't bet on Dylan Cease for anything.
Yeah, he's got weird splits.
And here's another thing. He's coming into the American League East. The American League East, you're playing against top-end power lineups. I wouldn't bet on Dylan Cease pitching as well as he was pitching for San Diego last year. As a matter of fact, I think Dylan Cease has an off year, and I think this pitching staff, which looked really, really good throughout the second half of the season in the playoffs, I think they're not as good this year as they were last year. There are not many great teams in the American League. There could be an up and down season. And that's why I think the Yankees knew that they were going to be in the driver's seat getting Garrett Cole back. Because even with not as many additions to this lineup, their pitching staff is going to keep the games close. Mm-hmm. And the Yankees are not going to have to score 6 or 7 runs like they used to. The Yankees are just going to have to score 4 to 5 runs. And the Yankees are going to win a lot of games. Yeah. Now, I don't know if they're going to win scoring 4 or 5 runs, 90 games. They're going to have to put up more runs in certain games. But the Yankees have the power. I think Spencer Jones is going to be very, very important. His development this year, what we saw in spring training and calling him up and letting Brian Cashman bet against what he said. And I'll tell you this, Brian Cashman saying what he said just pissed off Spencer Jones. And I think Spencer Jones is proving everybody wrong about what kind of talent.
You know what he did today?
What did he do?
2 for 2, 2 home runs, 3 RBIs. One of them was off of Phil Maton. It was one of their late inning Mets legend, one of the better late inning relievers in the National League.
You know what I said about him? Just so everybody knows my take.
Not with the Mets, no.
All everybody knows about my take about Spencer Jones. I'm going to tell you guys, I told you so. You guys can kiss my feet, all you Yankee fans.
Oh, don't tell Danny.
I told you guys that this guy is going to be a 35, 40 home run hitter. And I'm going to tell you this even, and I'm going to throw even another curveball. This guy could win Rookie of the Year in the American League this year. That's what I think he's going to be. And he's going to show you guys that when he gets on base, he's going to steal bases. He's faster than Aaron Judge. He has the ability to run. He's got a tremendous athletic ability. He's a 5-tool player. His outfield skills, he can play multiple positions in the outfield. And some people believe he's just as athletic to play first base too. So he might be the future first baseman for the New York Yankees. If you're a Yankee fan and you want to see the young players come up and you want to see the Spencer Jones or the Dominguez's develop, or the Lombard, right? Am I spelling it?
Yeah.
Lombard coming up and being
Lombard Jr.
the future shortstop, or moving Volpe to second. Because I'm going to tell you guys this right now. Volpe is going to have a better season this year. I don't know if he hits more than 250, 260, but if you can get that from your shortstop and he can give you 20 home runs like he did last year and give you about 60, 70 RBIs, you're taking it. And he's a pretty good pretty good shortstop or second baseman if Lombard gets called up, if Chisholm is gone. I'm telling you guys right now, you do not want to see the Yankees bring in veteran guys and lose their thoughts to their young talent in their farm system. And that's the problem. That was the problem with Brian Cashman for years. He would trade away pieces, and some of them didn't develop. As a matter of fact, the majority of them didn't develop. Whitlock did. He developed out of all the guys that they traded in that A's trade, which was an absolute debacle, and now he's a Red Sox. But Whitlock developed in a very good reliever. So he didn't look good at the WBC, but, enough said on that. But the fact here is, if you're a Yankee fan, you want Brian Cashman to believe that the talent is there in his farm system. Because if those guys are going to be called up, you have more control. You can take the money that you would invest into a veteran superstar player and then go after a young player that becomes available in the next 1 or 2 years and put the money into him, where you have him for 8 or 9 years at a high level. I'm not worried about the Yankees. And the Yankees, my question to the Yankees is, what do they do with Jazz Chisholm? That's what I want to know what they're going to do. Are they going to keep him? Are they going to pay him? Are they going to move him at the trade deadline and get as much as you possibly can for him? Maybe put him in a trade with somebody else and get a star young player to be either your future shortstop, your second baseman, or maybe a third baseman, which the Yankees have lacked ever since Alex Rodriguez. Remember Torres? Torres.
I remember you were raving about him when he came up.
He was good, and he was a very good playoff player for the Yankees. Mm-hmm. And then he became available, and he was a free agent, and he was still fairly young, 26 years old, and he thought he was going to get a big deal from the Yankees. And the Yankees said, go find another deal. And where did he go? He signed a 1-year deal to Detroit. And now I think he's still with Detroit. He extended himself. Oh, no, Detroit didn't extend him. They gave him...
No, they brought him back.
Yeah, but they didn't give him a deal. They gave him something else, like a pay-in deal, like a play-in deal this year that he has to put up or shut up, or they're not going to give him an extension.
Okay.
He got the qualifying
offer. That's what it was. They're not selling Spencer Jones. You could book it. Manny Machado could become available this year. I think San Diego is going to try to move pieces. They've invested too much money into guys like Tatis, and I don't know if anybody's going to be interested in bringing Tatis in, even with the steroid situation that he's had in the past. Manny Machado has another, I think, 4 years left on his contract. The Yankees are clearing contracts with Giancarlo Stanton in the next year. They can buy him out at the end of the year. They can take Manny Machado, move Manny Machado to third base. He always wanted to be a Yankee. He grew up a Yankee fan. And I think that would solidify their third base position, which they haven't really had since Alex Rodriguez. Let's be honest. They've tried to add players all these years. Cabrera's played there. It just hasn't worked. I could see Manny Machado being a name that could be talked about, especially if San Diego starts slow this year. And I think they could because the division is so good. And you look at, I think the Diamondbacks are going to be a lot better than people think they're going to be. Yep. I love the Diamondbacks this year. I wouldn't even be surprised if they're just as good as the Dodgers this year. That's how